Our final question will go first to Mr. Kurowski. What reforms are needed in our justice system, if you believe there are any needed?
What reforms? And I need 2 minutes. Huh? Reforms. Let's start by going back to my predecessors, the teachers that I worked under: Gladden, Rogers, Gilmore, Bell, Terpeutic. They were there every morning with motions court. Every morning, accessible to lawyers, accessible to the public. That is a far gone policy anymore. 1 day a week. So that means if you have an emergency, you have to wait a week. Plus, you have to give 5 days notice. It was only 3 days notice. Those guys worked. They earned their money. Why are we doing this to the people that we represent? People are losing their faith in this profession. When something comes up in the courthouse, as has come up, don't hide behind the law. Come forward, come clean so the people can trust you. And you're not talking about just trusting you, you're talking about trusting the profession. Everywhere I go, people are now telling me, asking me, when I go to the courthouse, should I bring my own tape recorder with me? That's horrible. How do you answer that question? Those are another thing that always galls me. If Westinghouse and General Motors comes into the courthouse and they want to file $1 million lawsuit, they pay $105. But if you want to get your kids in a custody action or get a divorce, you have to pay more than $300 to $600 to get a hearing. We are beating up on people instead of having hearings, so we don't have all these masters. I could go on.
Some of the complaints, again, I'll reiterate, we're not here to run down our court system because we as lawyers should be supporting our judges. We should be supporting the profession as a whole. The bar should be supporting the court. And if we want to change something, if we as lawyers are upset about how something's happening in the courthouse, we should have the intestinal fortitude to go to the judges and tell them about it. Unfortunately, folks, my fellow members of the bar, I'm not sure we do that enough. And maybe that's something that we as a bar should look into. I don't think the judges have ever refused to talk to us. If we don't tell them about it, be it privately or publicly, how else are they going to know? But as far as reforms, I think we've done a lot of good things in Washington County. The civil mediation system is certainly one of those things. And I certainly want to, if I'm a judge, I want to continue to support that program as it really alleviates a lot of the caseload and moves a lot of cases on our civil dockets. As far as my courtroom is concerned, there will be motions court at least 4 days a week for any subject matter case. I would like in my courtroom to institute a system of pre-scheduling, similar to that, a good example, and the lawyers in the room will know this, what Judge Weddick does in Allegheny County. You can call my chambers and schedule your motions so that you can minimize the time that you spend in court on behalf of your clients. Obviously, we shouldn't be sitting in motions court for half hours upon hours at a time having to bill our clients, because motions court at times can move at a slow pace. It allows us to be more predictable. In addition, I'd like to see Judge Odell Seneca mention the Veterans Court and the Mortgage Foreclosure Court. A recent law is going into effect this April. I would like to see our courts address a housing court to help municipalities handle blighted properties and dilapidated properties.
There are several areas which I think should be addressed to help speed up the justice process and to ensure that we administrate justice better. I do think it is unfortunate that motions court is sometimes just once a week. As lawyers know, motions court is effectively the lifeblood of the court. It's where things happen every day. It's how cases are moved along. It's how lawyers and those who are not represented by lawyers, they're representing themselves, get before a judge and discuss their case. So I think it is unfortunate that we only have motions court once a week. I also think that in the family division, I think that we should have night court once a week. And what I mean by that is to have the domestic relations office open one night a week so that persons who are unrepresented, pro se's, can come and file the necessary paperwork in their cases. People work during the day. It's hard for them, if they're unrepresented, to try to file these pleadings. And in family law, which is the biggest part of the court system, takes up the most amount of resources, I think it's important that we serve the public this way. Thirdly, I think it would be very good to have electronic filing of pleadings and documents for the lawyers. I think this really would speed up the process of being able to get before the court sooner. It's easier to make service. I think that this is really part of being in the 21st century, and I think that we have the ability to do that and do it very soon. Thank you.
As I recall, I don't believe the question was isolated to Washington County. It was a question as to what reforms in our justice system could be implemented. One situation that comes to mind, I think everybody would recall, was the situation in Luzerne County that dealt with the juvenile system that was just out of control. Juveniles were actually being placed in confinement improperly. The facts didn't back up the placement, but yet the judges did in fact place these kids. And the reason that was allowed to get out of control, or the reason that it got out of control, I'm not saying allowed, but in the juvenile system, there's sealed records. There's no checks and balances in a juvenile system as there is in an adult system. In an adult system, these records are online, they're public. But in the juvenile system, there has to be some sort of checks and balances within the court system itself. That is vital, otherwise something that happened in Luzerne could possibly happen again. Now, as to Washington County, I just want to make one thing clear. If there is an emergency petition filed in my courtroom, there is no type of notice that is necessary. That can be brought to me at any time of any day that I happen to be either in my chambers or in my courtroom. And it can be addressed, and it has been addressed since I've been on the bench. So I take offense at that to suggest that that's not the case. Thank you very much.